and happy to be on stage right now. I'm sad because we were very excited to have Denise Marie coming to share a concert of Assyrian music, and unfortunately she couldn't make it, but she has recorded a fantastic video that will be uploaded to the GAW and SAFO sites, right? So you'll be able to see that. So please watch for that and listen, because I know she's very sad that she can't be here and is very excited to share some of that wonderful music with you. My name is Creviston. I teach right here in the music department, and for the past, I guess, 6 years now, I've been researching various composers who were killed in the Holocaust or who survived through the Holocaust, and other music surrounding the theme of the Holocaust. And so we're going to, some of you already got a CD. I have more in my office, and my husband has some in his office. This is kind of a brief showcase of some of the music. If you didn't get one, let me know and you want one. We'll give you one. But we're going to share some of the stories and some of the music that we've been playing for the last few years together, and then I have some other pieces that I've been working on myself as well. So the first composer is Karl Berman, who was born in the Czech Republic, and he was a singer, he was a composer, a pianist. He was arrested and sent to Terezin and then to Auschwitz. He actually managed to survive the Holocaust. He almost died of typhus. There are some biographical information that you can find that he wrote and that he shared, but he survived. And he went on to become one of the leading singers in Prague and conducted over 70 operas around the world after the war. So he died just a few years ago, but he was a wonderful composer and musician. And while he was in Terezin, he wrote 3 pieces for piano and 3 pieces for bass voice. And the idea was that it would be piano, voice, piano, voice, piano, voice. They would alternate. during World War I. He was injured and got some shrapnel through his hand, which kind of ruined his performance career. But he was a prisoner of war. He was liberated. He became very interested in the Dada movement and American jazz through a friend that he met named George Gross. And so he was one of the first people to kind of combine jazz elements and classical music and to kind of fuse them together, which you'll hear in this piece. The saxophone obviously was also, not only was jazz music not allowed by the Nazis, it was degenerate art, but the saxophone also was banned. Although, as my husband taught me, apparently Hitler had saxophone music playing at his own parties. But so Schulhoff, when he saw what was happening with the Nazis' rise to power, Schulhoff tried to emigrate. He had a young son. He wanted to come to America or Great Britain somewhere. Unfortunately, was taking a very long time, and so he decided to apply for Soviet citizenship. I have my dates. This is what I keep looking at. I have my dates. So he got his Soviet citizenship on June 13th, 1941. On June 22nd, the Nazis invaded the Soviet Union, and Schulhoff was arrested the very next day. He was sent to Würzburg in Bavaria, and he died of tuberculosis 2 months later. So this is the Hot Sonata, which is a 4-movement work. This is my husband, Christopher Creviston. This is a 4-movement work that I think really captures Schulhoff's style. He wrote a lot of wind music, he has a lot of songs, he has a lot of piano music, but I think this piece really kind of captures all of the different things that he did. So we hope you enjoy. This is the Hot Sonata by Erwin Schulhoff. was, sorry, I didn't finish that thought, but Schulha's father was arrested for being Jewish, was sent to Terezin. He died, was killed there. So Karl Bergman, as I mentioned, while he was in Terezin, he was still composing, he was still performing with the other musicians who were there. And this movement is actually one of the movements that he wrote while he was in Terezin. And when after the war, he reworked it a little bit and renamed it, and the published name is Auschwitz Corpse Factory. So I'm going to invite my husband back up and our dear friend DeMaris, who's on our voice faculty here. And I'm sure you're all familiar with the collection of poems and art that's been published in a collection called I Never Saw Another Butterfly. These are works by children who were imprisoned and killed in Terezin and Auschwitz. these children, each one unique and individual, reach us across the abyss of the greatest crime in human history, allow us to touch them, and restore our own humanity in doing so. So these are a set of pieces, all based on, it's in English, she'll be singing in English, all based on poems that were written by children in terrorism.
Terezin, that bit of filth in dirty walls and all around barbed wire. love inside this ghetto. But I have found my people here. The dandelions have befriended me, and the white chestnut candles in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. That butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live in here, in the ghetto. In the so-called park, a queer old grandad sits somewhere there. In the so-called park, he wears a beard down to his lap, and on his hand a little cup. In Terezin, in the so-called park, hard crusts he crumbles in his gums. He's only got one single job, my with working gums. There's no soft roll or lentil soup for you, my poor old graybeard. Today, the ghetto knows a different fear. Close in its grip, death wielded as a scythe. An evil sickness spreads a terror. It is wake the victims that shall weep, 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 and weep. Today, a father's heartbeat tells his fright, and mothers bend their heads in their hands. Now children join
short, he passed away. I'm not really sure why he felt this connection. He wasn't Jewish. He traveled to Germany and studied with Karl Orff, but so perhaps while he was there, he was doing research or something. I really, really don't know, but it's a really powerful set of pieces. So in the foreword, Potok writes, the statistics of Theresienstadt, cold and numbing, each digit a human being. As of April 20th, 1945, there arrived from Germany, Holland, Denmark, Poland, Luxembourg, Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and a few other places, a little over 141,000 Jews. 33,456 died in the ghetto. 88,202 were transported to the death camps in the east. On May 9th, 1945, there remained in Theresienstadt a total of 16,832 Jews. Of the 15,000 children deported from Theresienstadt to Auschwitz, 100 survived, none under the age of 14. This is another movement that Berman wrote while he was in Terezin. He renamed it. After the war, it's called May 1945, Alone, Alone. person, but I'm watching online, so it's been really powerful. And Hava mentioned this word right before the concert, and I was already going to mention it, but one of the words I keep hearing is the word resilience. And I think those who have gone through these things show amazing resilience, rebuilding, and I think those of us who have not actively gone through these genocides have a responsibility to be active. And so this last piece we're going to play is actually a friend of ours who lives in Chicago, and she wrote this piece after the shooting at the Highland Park Independence Day parade in 2022. And she was like, I'm a musician, what do I do? How do I respond? What's my duty? What's my role? And so this piece is called Repair the World, or Tikkun Olam. And she says, in naming the work, Repair the World, I call upon the Jewish concept of Tikkun Olam, that we need to fix what is broken. May we all strive to heal the world together. So this is Repair the World by Stacey Garrett. record of. This one was written in 1949.
In 49.
Sorry, no,
No.
39, 38 and 39. Sorry, 38 and 39.
So my question is,
Yeah.
how do you combine that style
Mm-hmm.
with this communism? I mean, communist, even if he's a socialist, not a communist
Yeah.
or something, but he wrote different pieces. He wrote very symphonic, complex symphonic.
So he has different stages.
I
So
see.
his early works are very different than that. He actually wrote some quite off-color pieces. He wrote pieces that are much more like German sounding in terms of like the harmonies that he uses. And then he has a stage that's more where he's infusing this jazz style. But he was a complex person, and from all accounts, not a super likable person. Also, there are some stories that apparently he wanted to study with Debussy, study composition, and they ended up parting ways, we'll say. And there's another story I found, like when he was a little boy, his mom wanted him to study with Dvorak, who was, the person to study with in Prague at that time. And Dvorak very nicely said, I'll recommend somebody for him to study with. So I'm not sure, because he was also a Dadaist, which had you, he was Dadaist, communist. He was there are letters where he wrote where he's just enthralled with these jazz clubs, and he's just out dancing all night long. So I mean, he had very different parts of him that we'll probably never fully understand. But
Maybe he was disappointed. He thought that Dada is going to make the world in a certain way, and then things didn't happen the way he thought, and then he moves into.
there is some of that, because there is a point in his life where but he still keeps that. It ties over. But when he became a communist, yes, there were things happening. His father lost their fortune. His publishing house cut ties with him. His wife left him because he was having an affair. So I mean, it's like I said, he wasn't a super likable person, and there are a lot of different. There are children in the audience, so I'm trying to. There were a lot of different facets to his
Personality.
life. Yeah. You had a question?
How can they access the lyrics to her audio?
You can. We haven't written them up, have we?
Are they in the CD?
No. I realized that the other day. If you email me, I'll give you my email, and if you email me, I'll write them out for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The poems are published as a collection.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's that's the full collection. It's not published just the song, the ones from the song.
Joseph Whitco, who I'm sure you'll remember,
Mhm.
he must have been your colleague, or no?
Predecessor, yeah. He's never actually met him. I have, but yeah.
So Whitco, I think Whitco composed music that used, embedded in the music, or at least two poems, because he actually took really. I
Interesting.
recorded
You
two
recorded?
poems from that
From that
collection.
suite?
Yeah,
Ah.
in his studio. And
Huh.
it appears in a CD. There's a CD of Whitco's music to
Okay.
those poems. Yeah.
Huh. Do you know about them?
No.
Yeah.
There's
I
another
think
collection.
I have a few
And the Derb, yeah, not as much, but several students have done that. The Schulhof is a pretty commonly played in the saxophone world. It's, yeah, I've played it with a lot of different people.
And another piece that he wrote that's actually very common, is taught here a lot too, there's a woodwind trio, which is one of the standard pieces of the woodwind trio repertoire, so flute, clarinet, oboe, and bassoon. And it sounds nothing like this.
But I have a lot of I've done 5 different kind of lecture recitals that I've put together with various composers of various repertoire. So it's generally the people I work with who are passing it on to their students, because I don't teach a whole lot of actual lessons. I'm teaching pedagogy. But I always share the repertoire in my classes. For example, Leo Smith was another composer, and I did a flute sonata of his, and the flute professor was like, "Oh, this is amazing, I'm going to do this." And then I did a viola, and she passes that on to her students. So it's trying to get the music out there as much as possible.
Yes, I really appreciate the kind of concert conversation, right, where you introduce the pieces to us. I think this is super powerful. So maybe I can ask you to talk a little bit about, okay, you took us on a journey from the 30s to today, more or less, contemporary times. So the selection, tell us a little bit more about how you chose the piece.
Well, basically it was, when was that, Tim? What's today? Wednesday? So was that like last Thursday or something we decided? so basically it was...
Short runway.
Yeah. So basically it was, what is ready to go? And actually, so the CD. These 3 sets, not the last piece that we played, but the 3 main pieces that we did. Those are all in a CD that we just recorded and released together, thanks to a Herbie grant. Say that. Thank you to ASU for sponsoring it. I almost didn't do the Berman because for Yom HaShoah, I'm doing I always do a lecture recital at the East Valley JCC, and so I'm doing a new composer that I've never heard of, named James Simon. And so I actually brought that out because I have to learn it anyway. And then I was like, I think I want to intersperse the Berman movements instead. So, and then whenever I do these, I always try to collaborate with people. I don't want it just to be me. I want it to bring other people in as well. So for tonight, it was really just what was ready to go, but what we were comfortable with. And this is the program that we